Get ready for a revolution as Uranus enters the electric Gemini for the first time since 1940s. The planet of progress will stay in Gemini for the next 7 years, bringing major changes to our society, communication, technology, and transportation systems. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, predictive astrocartography, and electional readings. If you enjoy my work, please kindly leave me a like, a comment, subscribe, and press the notification bell. Watch more of my videos or say thank you by gifting me a present, a croissant, a tea, a coffee. Anything you do, even if you're just sending me happy thoughts, is greatly appreciated. I have recently started a yoga YouTube channel, so I would really appreciate if you follow and subscribe to that channel as well. It's called Anastasia Does Yoga. I am continuing on the trajectory of Anastasia doing things, so please show it some love. Watch some of my yoga videos. Check out the video I recently posted. All of that can be found on YouTube. Before we dive in, if you're seeking personal guidance, you want me to look at your chart, you have questions that general readings just do not answer, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. There's natal chart readings that are good to start with, predictive readings like year ahead or solar return. Solar return is better done around your birthday. Relationship consultations, I can elect the best date for your wedding and help you figure out the place in the world you should move to. For electional astrology, you can just either choose express or natal reading and specify that this is what you want. Additionally, I am gearing up to start teaching an astrology course titled Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul. If you are ready to take your knowledge of astrology to the next level, to become your own guru, your own sage, to read natal charts and feel empowered, join my course and meet people who are like-minded and create a sense of community and belonging, as well as expanding your knowledge. As a Gemini moon, I'm all about expanding my knowledge. I feel like one can never go wrong by learning more. On my website, you can book a reading, register for my course. I also create candles and oils. In this video, I'd like to highlight my Mercury in Gemini. We're talking about Uranus entering Gemini. Uranus is the planet of sudden change, progress, revolution. It's the great awakener. Having Mercury, the planet of the mind, rational, quick, adaptable, good at progress and problem solving, could be just what the doctor ordered for this transit, because it can speed up your mind, help you maximize this energy, and if you want help with staying grounded at the same time, get a combination of Mercury in Gemini, Moon in Cancer, or exalted Moon. But this could be really good for anyone who is trying to take advantage of the technological developments, of the progress and AI and things like that. Especially good for people born with their Mercury in Sagittarius or Pisces, signs Mercury struggles in. If your Mercury conjoins Saturn, if it is retrograde natally, or if it is placed in the 6th, 8th, or 12th houses, traditionally considered to be more complicated. So check it out. Today we're talking about Uranus in Gemini. Uranus enters Gemini on Monday, July 7th, and this year in 2025, it stays in Gemini until November 7th. So we got a 4 months preview of the total nearly 7 years of Uranus in Gemini. So this year, July 7th, November 7th, next April, it comes in to stay until August 2032. And then we'll dip into Cancer and we'll come back into Gemini for a few more months between December 2032 and May 2033. So we are looking at really, really big developments. This year, Uranus doesn't really get too far. It's sort of, it kind of stops around the 1 degree mark. So it will be especially felt by people with planets in 0 to 4 degrees of mutable signs, and those will be, I'm just checking to see exactly where it stops. So it gets till about 1 degree 27 minutes. So yeah, so especially crucial for those with planets between 0 and 4 degrees mutable signs: Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius. You may start to feel it very strongly. And this, of course, applies to your nodes, to your ascendant, descendant, midheaven, and IC. So let's talk about it. Uranus is the great awakener, right? Uranus is often considered to be the higher octave of Mercury. If Mercury is the planet of the mind, it's the messenger of the sun. Uranus takes that to the next level. It takes the messages. There's no N in there. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. It takes the messages and delivers them or processes them and creates progress, right? It's the planet of revolution a lot of times. And funny enough, when Uranus is in Gemini, traditionally, historically, there has been a lot of revolutions, a lot of conflicts and strife between similar people, people in the same sort of environment, because Gemini is that dual sign, and Gemini, can represent sort of strife and conflicts between people who are seemingly very similar. Uranus is connected to Prometheus, so again, rebellious, right? Freedom-oriented, progress, knowledge-oriented, taking fire from the gods, taking the technology that is kept limited and restricted and bringing it to humanity. So it is the planet of like developments that are rapid, that are revolutionary, that are progressive. It is also the planet of freedom and independence, and the planet that is often connected to breakdowns and breakthroughs. So when Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. Taurus doesn't like change. Fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, they do not like change. They have things a certain way, and they get used to it, and then they know what they like. So, it's basically Uranus doesn't like being in Taurus. So for a while, we've had Uranus in Taurus, and we've noticed some shakeups around, finances and around economy and food production, nature, environment, and things like that. But it wasn't like the most comfortable type of change. When Uranus is in Gemini, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury and Gemini is a mutable sign, if you know any Geminis, I'm a Gemini moon, you know that they're always on their phone, they're doing research, they're technologically savvy for the most part. Of course, a lot depends on your entire chart. That's why it's always recommended to consult an astrologer, get a reading, or again, you can join my course and learn how to read this and how to understand the nuances between the readings of different placements. But Geminis are plugged in. And so Uranus, the planet of progress, really likes being in Gemini. There is an alignment between Mercurial-ruled Gemini, the intellectual Gemini, and the progressive Uranus. So we can expect a lot of developments along the similar trajectories that we've already been seeing. So progress, right? Developments in technology, developments in AI, augmented reality, like things that are already being brought into our attention by Pluto and Aquarius. And Uranus in Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius actually harmoniously aspect each other. So rapid technological advances. Uranus takes about 84 years to make the full zodiacal circle, which means it hasn't been in Gemini for 84 years. So it's a really rare transit. And I looked into an article. Jessica Davidson has done a lot of research. I will make sure to tag the link to her website where she has done so much amazing research on Uranus and Gemini that I will be referencing and using in this video. So definitely check her website out. It's like striking and so crazy how much work she put into it. Really impressive. So I want to make sure to shout her out. But she's looked into a multitude of cycles of Uranus in Gemini, and she has found a lot of patterns. So you can find the link in the description to her website and what I'm referring. So one of the things she noticed that, like I mentioned, a lot of times when Uranus is in Gemini, we have to think of Gemini as the twins, right? There is polarity, there is opposition that is inherently present in Gemini. It's an adaptable sign that is capable of seeing things from two perspectives. So oftentimes when Uranus is in Gemini, we do have those civil wars or fights between neighbors, fights on like a similar sort of nearby territories. And then, of course, there are lots of technological innovations and breakthroughs connected to Uranus in Gemini. And it's even more strengthened and emphasized by the fact that Pluto is in Aquarius. So the two really like each other, Gemini and Aquarius, two air signs. For example, back in 1444, the printing press was invented. That is when Uranus was in Gemini. Between 1606 and 1613, Uranus was in Gemini, and that was the start of the scientific revolution and the invention of the telescope, as well as the first newspaper was published. When Uranus came back into Gemini again in 1690 and until 1697, that was a lot of work of Isaac Newton. And he's sort of influential effects on science. John Locke was publishing works about liberalism. Sorry, sometimes I'm brain gets frozen. So a lot of sort of scientific revolutionary developments. Then next we had Uranus in Gemini between 1774 and 1781, and that was actually co-present with Pluto in Aquarius. And that coincided, of course, with the transition from the Age of Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution, coincided with the American Revolution, which began in 1775. Although there is a little bit of, it started a little earlier. Just a sec. And then the next time Uranus went into Gemini was between 1858 and 1865. And that was together with Neptune in Aries, which is another transit we have right now. And of course, that coincided with the American Civil War and Abraham Lincoln coming up as a leader. And that is another important fact that is worth mentioning when it comes to Uranus in Gemini, is that it actually brought quite a few powerful leaders in the US. So this is something that is worth keeping in mind. And I think I first heard Austin Coppock mention this, because he said Uranus in Gemini has traditionally been responsible for powerful leaders. And so we have George Washington, we have Abraham Lincoln, who's obviously a major change maker. And then we have FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was under Uranus in Gemini. So would be interesting to see if we get some powerful leadership in the US or in the rest of the world right now. But back to the 1858 into 1865, when Lincoln was in charge, his famous speech of 1858 that goes, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," so connected to Gemini energy, right? You literally have someone talking about the house divided against itself, the country divided against itself, and how much more Gemini can you get? There was Charles Darwin's work on the origin of species was published around the same time. There was a lot of developments when it comes to evolution, the laws of genetic inheritance, electrical engineering. Sound recording, the first sound recording was made of the French song using a phonautograph. And the first underground railway was opened in London. Uranus and Gemini, transportation, communication, technology, the mind, rapid developments, right? Speech, ideas, writing, publishing, newspapers, things like that. Other things during that period, in the 1800s, there was first aerial photography, first rechargeable battery, which to me feels very Gemini because they want to be plugged in, so having rechargeable batteries help. international combustion engine, and an early telephone was made by Rice. Finally, when Uranus was in Gemini in 1941, between 1941 and 49, that coincided, of course, with the World War II. And while World War II was extremely difficult, and it's crazy to think about, and like really personal for me, because I have family members who died in World War II and other family members who lived through it. That affected Russia incredibly, because the effects are still, I think we're still sort of kind of getting over it on many levels, even though it's been decades. But as that was happening, there was a lot of developments in the time of the war, including the invention of radio, I believe, and let me see, I have that written down. Yeah, the use of commercial and TV FM radar, the transistor, first supersonic flight, holography, microwave ovens. It was also like the beginning of cryptography, and the first general purpose digital computer that was built around that time too. So what can we expect? A lot more of that, right? A lot more advances. And again, thank you to Jessica Davidson for providing the internet with this wealth of research that I have used for this video. So the trine to Pluto, I think, is supportive. It's on some level kind of provides the grease necessary for the Uranian sparks. And the exact trine of Pluto and Uranus occurs 5 times between 2026 and 2028. So we'll talk about that when we start getting there. So what does it mean on a personal level? You feel like your mind is activated, right? In whatever sector of the chart is showing up for you. We will talk about that in the horoscope section. You're interested in making changes. You're interested in breaking away from the old, starting new. You seek more freedom in the sector of the chart that Uranus is in. You're more willing to break away from the traditional and dive into unique personal self-expression. There may be an opportunity to challenge authority or a desire to break away, again, from something that's been normal and something that has been common ground and sort of commonplace. And you may benefit from being more adaptable, from being more flexible, and using your words to ignite change and transformation in the lives of other people. So we can see a lot of breakthroughs. Of course, there's always a danger that we take this energy too far, that we develop technology we're not ready for, that we run into fake news and sort of deep fakes and things that maybe, like, the powerful intellect can sometimes be unhealthy when people fight each other, use it to manipulate things or use it to hack into systems and things like that. So hopefully we will see the high-minded, elevated version of Uranus in Gemini. Again, really recommend my Mercury in Gemini candle, because Mercury rules Uranus while it's in Gemini, so having a strong planet of the mind can benefit you greatly. And let's take a look at the 12 rising signs to see what kind of themes, what kind of energies will be activated in your life. If you are an Aries rising, Uranus begins its transit through your 3rd house. And here we're talking about your mind, your communication. So very literal breakthroughs of ideas, new opportunities to use AI, to use technology in your everyday life to revolutionize the way you do things. You may come up with something like a little, sleeve for a coffee cup. Like Uranus and Gemini can really prompt your inventiveness and encourage you to speak up, and encourage you also to express yourself verbally and in writing. Coming up with unique hobbies or expressing yourself, learning astrology. Join my course. It begins in September. But yeah, like talking about things that are connected to crystals, astrology, tarot, Reiki, energy, whatever it might be. third house rules your community, so you may be encountering people who are Uranian and different and quirky, or you're becoming one of those people, a different and quirky person in the community. Finally, third house is also connected to siblings and communities, sort of neighbors, so there may be important changes in the lives of your siblings. Uranus will positively connect to Pluto in Aquarius, your 11th house, so that emphasizes the focus on community even more, your desire to be an angel of change, an angel of transformation and empowerment for other people. So I wouldn't be surprised if for you this is about growth and learning skills and establishing yourself in some way that actually makes the world a better place. Highly recommend my Mercury in Gemini candle. It can help you get in touch with your voice. Find it at anastasiadoesastrology.com. On there, you can also book a personal reading or register for my natal astrology course. It begins in September. For the lovely Taurus rising, Uranus is entering your second house, revolutionizing your sense of self. So you've spent, since 2018, Uranus has been in your first house. It would have brought a lot of opportunities to discover yourself, to break away from convention, to step into the world as a leader or as a Promethean type of figure, someone who brings change, right? Or change within yourself then affects the world around you. Now that Uranus enters your second house, it kind of continues the work that it started when it was in Taurus between 2018 and now. And I think now it's urging you to take that newfound sense of self and apply it to, to your maybe way you make money in the world or how you show up in the world, because second house is what makes us feel valued. So with Uranus here, you may start to value unusual things, right? You may decide to invest in new technology, in augmented reality, AI, something scientific, right? You might be more willing to make money through those industries as well and start working in fields that require like maybe you start teaching, maybe you're a doctor and you start teaching how to use AI to train students, right? This would be very Uranus in the second house. You're more likely to take risks with your finances. You're more likely to maybe pivot and change professionally. Sometimes Uranus in the second might bring some ups and downs, things that are less predictable when it comes to money, which of course you as a Taurus maybe won't enjoy a ton, but still it could be highly eye-opening and exciting, I think, in the long run, especially because Uranus will eventually trine Pluto in your 10th house. So lots of opportunities to shed the old, begin the new, show up differently in the professional world, and create some kind of sense of progress and revolution in your life. Highly recommend Mercury in Gemini candle or oil I have. It captures the planet of the mind at one of its strongest positions, and it can illuminate and help you sort of approach progress, approach change with more ease. You can find it on my website. On there, you can also book a personal reading or register for my natal astrology course. It begins in September. Don't wait too long or you'll miss it. If you are a Gemini rising, Uranus is entering your first house. How powerful is that? First house is your body, your health, your identity, your image. So anything from the change that is deeply personal, you begin using AI to track your calorie intake, using some kind of, technology, buying a watch that tracks your steps, things like that, where you connect technology with your well-being, to becoming a teacher, to becoming Uranian character. Uranus is connected to Prometheus, so he is the god that brings fire to humanity. I mean, he's not God. I think he's like a Titan. If you know, let me know. Who's Prometheus? I feel like he's maybe a Titan. Yeah, let me know. But so there's this opportunity to revolutionize the world and to become the person that brings Knowledge brings insight, brings change to the world, especially as Uranus in your first also trines Pluto in the ninth. Ninth is the house of philosophy, belief, knowledge, higher learning. So becoming a teacher, becoming a guide, becoming the person who awakens others to things is in your future, dearest Gemini rising. Be careful of being too impulsive, and watch out that you're not sort of too restless and too willing to jump at the new ideas. Make sure that you're also doing things to ground yourself. For that, I would really recommend my Moon in Cancer 3 candle. It is very grounding. It's also really good for manifestation. You can find it on my website. You can also register for my natal astrology course or book a personal reading while you're on there. The class begins in September, so join now. For the lovely Cancer rising, Uranus is entering your 12th house, the place of blind spots, of mysteries, of spirituality, of mental health. Could you be becoming a healer? Could you be healing yourself and experiencing a lot of opportunities to illuminate the darkness of your mental attic, to release some of the past experiences, to process the pain, and then to bring insight to other people? Uranus in the 12th can sometimes show up as you're dealing with things outside of your control. It is, 12th house is, very much things outside of your control because it is on the ascendant as the mother is in labor. So, and then you're born and your ascendant is on the ascendant. But during labor, during labor, 12th house is on the ascendant. So, encountering things outside of your control, dealing with things that are uncomfortable, becoming more self-aware, right? There is a trine to Pluto in your 8th house. You Cancer risings are very much in this place of like deep subterranean inner work right now. And so Uranus will start by liberating you from things that do not serve you. And sometimes it might mean relationships, it means acquaintances, or healing old wounds, letting go of attachment to the past. And then through it, it may encourage you to help other people, to step into the role of a healer, to guide people through this underworld that most people feel uncomfortable in. So you'll have to get used to dealing with discomfort and unpredictability, and then again, maybe use that newfound confidence in yourself to help other people. Highly recommend my Moon in Cancer 3 candle. It's soothing and can bring some calm when things are unpredictable with Uranus in your 12th house. You can find it on my website. You can also register for my natal astrology course on there. It begins in September, or book a personal reading. For the lovely Leo risings, Uranus is entering your 11th house, the house of community, friendships, networks, hopes, and dreams. So a Uranian character might enter your social circle. Somebody who is like, oh, let's move to Paris together. Oh, let's start a podcast. Oh, let's go bungee jumping or something, skydiving, right? You may encounter Uranian characters, or you may become a Uranian character. You may step into your true self, into your passions, and be unapologetically yourself, where you bring new ideas to your friend group. You share your insights on social media. You start a YouTube channel where you tell people about using AI to their advantage. So this will revolutionize your friendship group. This may also revolutionize your dreams and your role in the world, right? Again, I'm thinking of using inventions, using your ideas, using your sense of humor to change the world. This might affect some friendships that feel restrictive or limiting. Some of those might not survive this transit, but if people are leaving your life, let them go, because most likely they're not meant to stay. I can see this as an important transit that affects your romantic relationships or offers you opportunities for business partnerships, maybe even alliances that take your business from a budding rosebud to a fully blooming rose. I have some over there. Because Uranus will be trining Pluto in your 7th house. If you're looking for a little bit of smoothing energy for this, Moon in Taurus can be great. If you want to go full on with it, Mercury in Gemini is a good choice. Find them on my website. You can also book a reading or register for my natal astrology course on there. We start in September. Join us. For the lovely Virgo rising, Uranus is entering your 10th house. This is very professionally driven. At work, you feel unwilling to compromise. You feel like you want freedom. You want liberation. Uranus will encourage you to liberate yourself from anything that does not serve you. Let's say you signed a difficult contract or your boss is being controlling. Uranus will be like, I don't like it. I want to go start my own business. I want to go do things that allow me to make my own schedule. So there might be a lot of interesting transformation there. Recognizing your true talents and your true interests, committing to them fully. Maybe you're exploring some kind of dual type of work schedule, or Gemini is the sign of opposites, and like it represents two things oftentimes. So having a full-time job while running a business, being a parent while also running a business, or something like that could be also possible. Exploring career paths that have connection to AI, science, writing, technology, anything like that is a possibility. And becoming known for something that is unusual, unconventional. This could be also the transit that makes you invent something, and then you invent a dance for TikTok or a medicine that cures cancer. Basically the same thing. Just kidding, of course. Uranus will be trining Pluto in your 6th house, which also lines up together with healing, helping others, making the world a better place, working in the service type of position or industry. So it could be really inspirational, I think, this one. If you want to boost it even more, Mercury in Gemini rules your 10th house of career. Could be powerful. Find it on my website, book a personal reading on there to discuss all of this, and register for my natal astrology course. It begins in September. For my lovely Libra risings, Uranus is entering your 9th house, liberating your mind. Revolutionizing the way you think about things, right? Of course, Pluto has been in your 5th house already, encouraging you to tap into your unique talents, your unique interests. I think Uranus takes that even further. To my mind, it's quite a nice transit after you've had Uranus in your house of debts, loans, taxes, death, and rebirth. I'll take Uranus in my 9th house for sure, right? So Uranus in the 9th can be very liberating. It can encourage you to study astrology. If you're looking for a teacher, I'm available. My course begins in September. But it could be the time when you're opening yourself up to new ideas and you're beginning to study, or you're beginning to teach, or you're traveling to places that you only dreamt about going to. You're taking a trip to a pilgrimage to India, or going to Europe for the first time. There is some exciting opportunities, and meeting people, going places, learning things that really open up your mind and your ways of thinking is really likely. Your travel might be a little bit more chaotic. Uranus can bring like sudden trips, and may even offer you a chance to move if you feel like you don't quite like where you live. You may become someone who sort of stirs people's minds with your unconventional approach to things, like especially when it comes to religion, politics, the world at large. You may be the one who shares things and others are surprised by it. Do not limit yourself, and keep learning, keep opening yourself to more things. Mercury in Gemini, candle or oil can be really great for this transit. Mercury is the planet of the mind that will rule Uranus in Gemini. Pick one up on my website, and on there you can also book a personal reading or register for my natal astrology course. It begins in September. If you are a beautiful Scorpio rising, Uranus is entering your 8th house. So 8th house is the place of debts. It's the place of shared resources, shared energy, shared time and connections. And so when Uranus comes in here, your sources of support may be less stable. So that might affect your partner's money. Uranus in the 8th might suggest that your partner decides to go, start working part-time, or they quit their job, or like there's some kind of ups and downs when it comes to their finances. Uranus in the 8th can bring sudden resources. So somebody gives you a gift that you didn't expect, your student loans get forgiven, or you receive an inheritance. There is a trine to Pluto in the 4th, so it can definitely suggest that you're maybe being blessed by some kind of financial support from parents, or if you have like an elderly parent that passes away, they might, you might be surprised at the amount of money that they left you because you had no idea. It can definitely be the time when you are freeing yourself from old patterns, maybe healing, maybe, learning to speak up, learning to talk about things that are uncomfortable, like money, or like sharing in relationships, being like, hey, I do too much. Can you help me out a little bit? So shaking away the old, welcoming new patterns around intimacy, around finances, around connecting with other people. Or you may decide to start new relationships, right? Like start some kind of alliance. So either you're shaking away, getting rid of the old, or you're welcoming the new. And like new opportunities, new partnerships, even new financial pursuits. For me, when Uranus was in my 8th house, there was definitely death in the family with my dad and my grandparents. Inheritance, which is very, very 8th house. And also a choice to abandon a successful video editing career, right? And go and become an astrologer, which is all about working with these more subtle energies, helping people, and not having a ton of financial stability, because if I don't work, money doesn't come, right? So, and I don't always control how much money I make. So it's an interesting, like, it's almost like it's forcing you to go into discomfort to build your stamina and strength and to find more stability, I think. Are you feeling this already? Do share. If you would like some help, Moon in Cancer 3 can stabilize a little bit of this and create a bit more ease in your life. Highly recommend. And you can pick it up on my website. On there, you can also book a reading or register for my natal astrology course. A really good choice to study astrology right now with everything that's going on. For the lovely Sagittarius risings, Uranus is entering your 7th house, the domain of relationships, contracts, agreements, and business partnerships. So this can shake things up a little bit. Maybe you will welcome the shakeup. Maybe you're excited to start dating and to meet unique people and to open yourself up to a new kind of romantic or business experience. But this could, of course, suggest that your relationships become a little bit erratic or unstable or just ready for something new, right? If you feel like you've been doing things a certain way, this will be your opportunity to let go of the outgrown patterns. Maybe it's as simple as believing that you're supposed to date people of a certain age, right? Uranus comes in and you're like, why not start dating someone 10 years younger or 10 years older? Especially if the person matches up with you and there is a true connection. Chances are, you being a Sagittarius rising, you're already pretty open-minded, but maybe there is some type of opportunity to find unique and interesting connections through trial and error. Uranus might also bring very different people into your life, brilliant people, people who are inventive and curious and revolutionaries of some kind, right? Maybe they stimulate you and your mind and encourage you to start a business. There will be a really harmonious trine between Uranus in your 7th house and Pluto in the 3rd. So opportunities to join people, to start partnerships, to maybe connect with someone who becomes your business partner and ushers you into a new chapter of your life is likely. So while it could suggest that your partner is going through some kind of maybe challenging time, or they're changing and it's making you feel insecure about the future of your relationship, if you're willing to change and grow together, this will be lovely. And the same goes for business and other kinds of partnerships. It could be like really eye-opening and empowering. Highly recommend my Mercury in Gemini candle. It falls in your 7th house, so it's the ruler of the house of relationships and its domicile. Could be great for communication and understanding in your one-on-one connections. Pick it up on my website, register for my natal astrology course. It begins in September, so very soon. And you can also book a personal reading on there. If you are a Capricorn rising, Uranus is entering your 6th house, the house of work, health, service. So on a very simple level, this could offer you opportunities to innovate how you do things. Get some technology that helps you, hire some help if you never did, find new ways of doing your errands, maybe let go of some errands. There's going to be opportunities to like use AI, technology, science to actually make your daily routines a little bit easier. When it comes to health, right? Using, again, some kind of technology, some kind of futuristic scientific methods, maybe even trying new kinds of drugs, deciding to be part of a trial or something like that. Professionally, Uranus will encourage you to free yourself from anything that doesn't serve you. So some of you might be in for a professional revolution. There is a trine between Uranus in your 6th house and Pluto in your 2nd. So your ideas, your knowledge, your desire to serve the world and help people or animals can be a very lucrative career path potentially. Pluto in the 2nd house definitely means professional transformations, and Uranus in the 6th is supportive of that. So figuring out the type of work that gives you more freedom, that lets you relax a little bit more, that has less supervision. Anyone trying to control you around this time will be extra irritating. So going for an unconventional job, maybe you start teaching Reiki courses to people. Maybe you dive into astrology. I am teaching a course in September, so join us and learn more about your chart. So committing to things that are unique, unconventional, stimulating, intellectually igniting, all of that would be great at this point. Just make sure that you're also staying grounded and taking care of your body and, making sure you're meditating and not just go, go, go. I will highly recommend my Moon in Cancer 3 candle as a soothing and gentle and relaxing remedy. Pick it up on my website. On there, you can also register for my natal astrology course or book a personal reading. For the lovely Aquarius rising, Uranus is entering your 5th house, the house of romance, pleasure, parenthood, and children. So this can give you a unique taste when it comes to dating. Uranus in the 5th might be people deciding to open themselves up to a new kind of dating. Maybe you've always dated for long-term committed relationship, but now you decide, hey, let's just go out there and find out and maybe have more fun. You can start having more fun in the bedroom too, because 5th house is the house of sex and pleasure. So letting go of inhibitions, coming out of the traditional closet. There's a lot of possibilities for sure. Being the house of creativity, there can also be unique interests, unique talents. If you're interested in astrology, which I assume you are, that's why you're here, you may decide to take that interest and make it into a career or learn a lot more. I am teaching an astrology course, as you probably already know, but it could be a good time to sign up and take your love for astrology to the next level. This is also a house of children. So Uranus can sometimes bring surprising pregnancy, sudden developments in the life of the child as well, and maybe an opportunity to connect with your childlike wonder. Again, this is like a really kind of fun transit for play and having a good time. Of course, it can also destabilize things a little bit, right? It can destabilize your romantic relationship, it can destabilize your child's life, and maybe bring some opportunity and a need to be more adaptable here. For more, book a reading on my website or register for my natal astrology course. You can also check out all kinds of candles. Mercury in Gemini is a really good choice for this transit. And I also have oils. For the beautiful Pisces rising, Uranus is entering your 4th house, the house of home, family, comfort, security, your living situation. Uranus here will revolutionize things. Maybe you've lived in the same place your whole life, or you've lived like in the same country and you decide to move. Maybe you decide to take a job that, you know, you become a flight attendant and your home becomes the sky or hotel rooms, and you decide to open yourself up to something unusual. Maybe you realize that a pattern or a childhood, something you inherited from your parents, a realization could happen that it doesn't serve you, right? That you need to let that go, and maybe there's some kind of freedom that comes from severing old patterns, letting go of old connections. Changes in the lives of the parents, changes in the lives of your family are also possible here. And maybe making your home more AI-like, more technological, and like bringing some kind of unique technology into your house is also a great, interesting possibility here. The fact that Uranus in the 4th will eventually trine Pluto in your 12th house is even more suggestive of moving, healing, liberating yourself from something. Uranus in the 4th can even make you into a person that brings change to the lives of other people. Like if you become, let's say, a social worker and you start helping children find new homes or something like that. But yeah, new beginnings, even when it comes to family, starting a family, adopting children, doing things that are Uranian and unconventional and kind of focused on the world at large. Enjoy this transit. If you're seeking more guidance, book a reading or register for my natal astrology course on my website. If you have anything to share, also let me know. Any video ideas, I will welcome them and be happy to hear from you. And I will see you in the next video. We have some important developments in July. There are a couple of retrogrades, Uranus, Mercury retrograde. Actually, yeah, more than a couple of retrogrades, but a lot to talk about. So see you soon.